What is up, guys, and welcome back to another video. So in today's video, I'll be going over my top KovaaK's routine for Fortnite. This routine is going to include all aspects of your aim, so whether you're a complete beginner or an experienced aimer, this routine should help you improve your aim dramatically in Fortnite. With that said, if this video does help you out, be sure to drop a like on it, and consider subscribing as well if you want to see more content just like this in the future. And before we hop into this KovaaK's routine, I'd like to give a quick shout out to the sponsor of today's video, which is Novos. If you haven't heard of Novos yet, let me run you through it. Novos is the ultimate training platform for Fortnite, where you receive a fully customized training routine every single day designed by pro coaches like ReeseHub, Aimer7, myself, and others. With Novos, you can choose which exact skills you want to work on, select specific tournaments to train for, and even implement custom routines such as the routine in today's video. As well as that, you can also check out the knowledge area, which has hundreds of the most high quality videos based around improvement, and you can also watch exclusive workshops which involve in-depth analysis of pro gameplay and strategies. And finally, guys, along with all that amazing stuff, the routine in today's video is actually going to be added to the Novos site, so you can feel free to add this to your routine by going to your training tab, pressing the little plus icon on any of your days, and then searching up my name. But with all that said, guys, be sure to check out Novos, which is going to be linked at the top of the description, and try out 7 days absolutely free. Thank you once again, Novos, for sponsoring this video. So with that said, the first thing I want to mention is your KovaaK's settings, specifically FOV. I got a lot of questions about FOV on my latest KovaaK's video. To put it simply, FOV just means how zoomed in or zoomed out your game is. You can really use any FOV you want for this routine. It doesn't have an exact set one, but my personal recommendation is to use the horizontal 16:9 setting with 110 FOV. I just wanted to clear this up really quick as I do get a lot of questions about it. But with that said, next up we're going to be actually hopping into the routine. The routine is going to be 35 minutes in total if you follow the entire thing, but you can also feel free to make certain parts longer or shorter, or even add other scenarios to the mix if you like some other ones as well. For reference though, each scenario is going to take 5 minutes. So starting off the routine, our first scenario is going to be the classic tile frenzy, and we're going to be essentially using this as a warm-up. For this scenario, you're going to want to make your sensitivity lower than it usually is, and basically the goal here is really just to get your hands warmed up. It's pretty simple, just use the lower sensitivity and focus on getting nice and warmed up. For the sensitivity, you can choose any sensitivity that's lower than your usual one, whether you want to do something like 10% lower or something more extreme like half of your normal sensitivity. As I said though, there's really no particular score that we have in mind here or any goal that you really need to have with this part. The main reason we're doing this is really just to get warmed up and get used to wider mouse movements before we hop into the other scenarios. For me personally, I find this helps me get way more comfortable with my aim, and it also helps me do better in the scenarios that come later in the routine as well. Moving on from that though, head back onto your normal sensitivity, and our next scenario is going to be air. Air is a super simple scenario with one target that basically moves around in front of you, and this scenario helps a massive amount with your close range aim, especially with ARs and SMGs. In this scenario, you really want to focus on being as smooth and consistent as possible. You can choose whether you want to do air invincible, which has a target that never gets destroyed, or the regular air scenario where the targets are destroyed after some time and a new one will pop up. I'm telling you guys, air is one of the most simple yet most effective scenarios in Fortnite, and I absolutely recommend you implement this into your routine. Moving on to our next scenario though, and for this one we've got close long strafes invincible. This scenario is incredibly helpful when it comes to close range aim as well, particularly with SMGs. In this scenario, you want to focus on reacting quickly when the target switches directions, and make sure that you don't take your finger off the trigger while you're going through it. This will really help you improve in close range, as well as helping you react to sudden movements in fights, and is another one of those scenarios that you're going to see tons of pro players implementing into their routines. Moving on from that though, moving into a click timing scenario actually, and we've got one wall, one target. One wall, one target is exactly what it sounds like, a big wall with a target on it. This target is basically going to move to a different spot on the wall each time, and your goal is to smoothly hit the target. In this scenario, a lot of players have a tendency to flick super hard towards the target to try and go really fast, but your goal should be to move smoothly between the targets and focus on being as accurate as you possibly can be. That way you'll not only get a better score due to accuracy, but it'll help you build good habits as well, which will make your aim way better when you hop back on Fortnite. On to our fifth scenario though, and this one is thin aiming long invincible. Thin aiming long invincible is essentially a mix between tracking and precision, and it's going to help you a ton when it comes to tracking targets in game, whether it's someone running in front of you or someone gliding in the air. For this scenario, you're going to want to focus on smoothness once again, and really focus on keeping your crosshair on the tiny little target. With this scenario, you also have the option to raise your sensitivity to focus even more on precision, but I only recommend you do this if you're an experienced aimer, as this scenario is already pretty difficult for those that are new to it. If you're new to this scenario, or you really just don't feel confident raising your sensitivity on it, that's no harm at all, and your normal sensitivity should do just fine as well. Moving into scenario number 6, and we've got bounce 360 track FN. This scenario is supposed to be similar to a Fortnite environment, and essentially has targets flying all around you which you're meant to track and take down. This scenario mixes both tracking and target switching, and can help you massively when it comes to mid-range aim, particularly with targets that are jumping, flying, or any target that you need to move your crosshair towards. If you don't like this particular scenario for any reason, then you can also use bounce 180 tracking as an alternative. Bounce 180 tracking is a similar concept, but instead of being third person and having targets all around you, it's first person and has 180 degrees of targets, aka halfway around you, instead of 360, which is basically surrounding you. Either one of those scenarios works for this slot though, and it really just comes down to which one you like better. Finally guys, moving into our 7th and final scenario for this KovaaK's routine, we've got one of my personal favorites, which is bounce 180. Bounce 180 is super similar to bounce 180 tracking, but instead of holding your trigger down to track the target, you're instead just tap firing. This helps with shock and aim, prediction, and tap firing with something like an AR as well. A lot of players tend to find bounce 180 to be really hard, so if you're struggling with it, you can also use the scenario of bounce 180 large as an alternative. Bounce 180 large is essentially the same as bounce 180, except it has larger targets, which makes it a lot easier for someone who isn't quite as advanced. If you're newer to KovaaK's and struggle with bounce 180, I definitely recommend that you start off with bounce 180 large and then move to bounce 180 once you're comfortable with it. But with all that said, that's going to do it for the KovaaK's routine. I'll go ahead and put all the scenarios in order up on the screen right now, just in case you want to take a screenshot or write them down or whatever you want to do. Once again though, the routine is 35 minutes in total, but you can feel free to make any adjustments you'd like, whether you want to add scenarios, remove some, or simply adjust the timings for each one. Each scenario is meant to be 5 minutes, hence the routine being 35 minutes for 7 scenarios, but you can feel free to adjust that if you want to spend more or less time on the routine. Once again though, if you want to get a customized training routine and also implement this exact routine into your daily practice, then be sure to head over to novos.gg and start your 7-day free trial. You can try out Novos absolutely free, see how you like it, and then see how much it helps you improve before you commit to anything. With all that said though, if this video helped you out, be sure to drop a like on it and consider subscribing as well if you want to see more content just like this in the future. As well as that, if you'd like to help your boy out a bit extra, then consider using code TECHO in the item shop, as it's absolutely free and it really does help me out a bunch. With all that said though, thank you all for watching this video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye for now.